Hello, everyone. I'm Eric D'Souza, and welcome to another podcast for crime writers in Canada, where we discuss crime fiction from writers from coast to coast. As I continue this series, we are dealing with the award season. So today we have Craig H. Bowlsby, who's written Requiem for a Lotus and has been a nominee for the award for Best Unpublished Manuscript. Hi, Craig. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Well, let's get it off. Let's say it early. Um, this is the second interview I've had with Craig because Craig last year won the award for Best Crime Short Story, sponsored by Mystery Magazine, for his story, The Girl Who Was Only Three Quarters Dead. I'll put in our notes a link to that conversation so that we won't talk about his short story this time. We'll focus mostly on his I'm hoping soon to be published manuscript,
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Requiem for a Lotus.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit more about Craig. He was born and raised in Vancouver. He has a BFA in creative writing from UBC and studied extensively with the brilliant and celebrated author William Deverell. Uh, Other awards that he won in 2014, he won the Brian McFallon Award for Society of International Hockey Research. Craig has also written articles for the Vancouver Province, Seattle Times, the Hockey News, and Vancouver Courier. You were nice enough, Craig, to send me a sort of synopsis and first two chapters of your book. If you don't mind, I'll read the synopsis and then we'll unpack it from
Please,
there.
please.
In 1917, a Shanghai police detective named Fletcher must solve the murder of a Chinese sing-song girl he failed to protect. Combining his Canadian prairie hunting experience with modern forensic technique, Fletcher scours Shanghai's dangerous jigsaw underworld. But while he brings one killer to justice, another escapes, and Fletcher must sacrifice more than he expected before he's done. There's a lot there, actually. So let's start, I guess, from the first line, the setting. It must be extremely challenging. I know it's extremely challenging writing historical, but also setting it in Shanghai. I have to admit my lack of history. I know World War One is still going on, and I think of the opium trade. I know very little else. So could you tell us a little bit about Shanghai in 1917?
That's everything that was going on there. It's all intertwined with that. But it's there's a lot going on. But it's true that so much is affected in Shanghai at that time by the by the World War One, by a series of uh, internal wars that are going on in China. There's a Chinese civil war going on between warlords, and then there's the opium trade and a lot of criminality taking place as a result of that. But at the same time, there's all these strange laws and intertwined because this is the international settlement, and the everybody has different laws, including the Chinese portions of the international settlement, and so the my character has to operate within like I said, a jigsaw of rules and regulations. For instance, I mean, I didn't know this when I was first researching all of this, which took a long time, believe me. Um, I didn't realize that the kidnapping of young girls for prostitution was basically legal in Shanghai, and they couldn't the British and international portion, they called it international portion, which is British and American side of things, couldn't really do anything about that, but they could sort of insert themselves in certain ways. And as you have read in the first chapter, one of those ways is that they set up a door of hope in on a major street where um, the kidnapped girls can run to. If they can get there, then the international settlement will protect them. But if they don't get there, they're screwed. But there's a lot going on.
Um, with everything also going on in the world, why is an Canadian inspector, Harmon Fletcher, part of this international police in China? Like, shouldn't Canada be busy elsewhere?
Well, there's a lot of Canadians in the war in Europe, but previous to that, a call went out. It's a very colonial situation, and the British Empire, so to speak, was sending out calls for police officers to operate in all of their colonial situations. So it was not surprising to see Canadians, to see Australians. Or anybody from the empire, quote unquote, to go to these places and be police officers. And my character Fletcher had been an RCMP, well, actually a Royal Northwest Mounted Police officer in Canada, and then he had partially responsible for another girl's death, and he was really upset about that. So he wanted to leave entirely, find another place to go, and he answered an ad to go to Shanghai. He's like a local yokel really, and he ended up in Shanghai. It was quite a shock for him.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how much of a shock that would be. Like talk about fish out of water.
Yeah, fish out of water. Yeah, at least initially. I mean, he's now big man on on the street, but before for
Yeah,
sure.
you were saying early on in the book, the Shanghais often gave nicknames, and they called them the Dark Wolf. So I guess I'll have to keep reading to figure out why that is, but that does say a lot also of how he's thought about in society.
Yeah.
To give kudos where kudos is deserved, my friend Rotten Rotenberg always writes about and always talks about the importance of a strong first paragraph. And I'm going to read a little bit more because I was very impressed with your first paragraph, and then we'll talk about it.
Please.
When a man named Hong Seong-lin shot his neighbor 5 times for blowing roasted pig smoke onto his second floor balcony, it wasn't a hard case to figure out. There was 2 angry men, a gun, and a hot Shanghai summer. 2 lines, short and sweet, and it says so much. So, as somebody who also writes, can you tell me how much effort you put into this? Like, obviously, you know the importance of those first lines. How much did you struggle, or did it just come right to you?
Oh man, that took years. Quite literally, that I would say that took at least 2 years, and you could say three. Um, no, everything changed. I mean, I work there. I work hard on all of it, of course, but the opening has to be as good as you can get it. And the opening actually for a long time was the character, the main character, just running down the street as he does later in that chapter. So I actually started with him right out of the gate, running after these guys who are trying to kidnap this girl. And it was pointed out to me that maybe that was too fast. So then I was searching for a way of introducing the character a little bit before he starts chasing anybody. Anybody, he could be chasing anybody in this thing, and he actually does chase a lot of people. But so then I was left with the you know not only opening the novel, finding a way to open the novel, but to do so and introduce the character to you. Um, so I have reams and reams of notes about starting it in all sorts of different ways, and I find a way that sounds like I'm going in the right direction, and then I will write that in as many different ways as I can, and slowly get towards the feeling that I want. Because really, at the beginning, the first two, 1, 2, or 3 sentences, the first opening, I find is I'm searching for a feeling, and that you don't want to get too much information in there because it'll just overload it. But I think, and that's what I was going for with that paragraph as well.
Well, well done, because it definitely sets the tone for the entire book. Um, I'm glad to hear that you struggled with it because you make it sound easy. Actually, I wanted to that kind of segues into William Deverell because you mentioned before that he was like, I guess, a mentor for you, and I really hear his influence in your writing. I hope you do too. There's a satire to your work. There's social nuance. There's also a feeling that you really know what you're talking about. For him, the legal system; for you, like 1917 Shanghai, it's as if you're there. There's an ease to the writing, like you make it sound easy. So I'm glad to hear you struggle with it because it sounds like it's easy to you. It's approachable, and I'd say you both went to the school of Elmore Leonard. Do you, so I
Well,
hope you feel the same way about it.
I don't know. Elmer Leonard is really, really a hard case. But in terms of the language, maybe, yeah,
Yeah, the language is what I
possible.
was
Yeah.
thinking, really. Uh, do you feel like you're largely influenced by William Deverell, or
Oh, yeah. In the
is he just
last,
one of other?
well, one of many I've just talked to on the street. No, um, yeah. In the last 5 years, definitely, because I asked for his feedback over a period of several years on my work, and that it did. I guess I'd have to say it influenced everything. He is actually directly responsible for this novel taking place in Shanghai, because the first novel that I was asking him to look at actually takes place in Vancouver. Same character, starts in Vancouver. He just has a history in Shanghai. And Bill was saying, well, that's not enough. You need to give more information. So I started to give more information, and then I realized, oh, it's got to go all the way back to Shanghai to give you an understanding of what's going on. So then I took this novel all the way back to Shanghai, and then I did all that research. But in terms of the writing style, I think I mentioned before that the the you have to streamline it, and that's one thing that Bill was really instrumental in helping me do, is streamline the language. And that can be in all ways. You can just pare it down to what the nitty gritty of what you want to say, but also what you were talking about. When the reader is reading it, you want it to flow well and flow it, and so it carries the reader along, and that actually takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. And as Bill used to tell me, brain power. No matter what part of this that I'm working on, I always harken back to that, and I hear his voice, use your brain power, use your brain power. So.
That's very good advice. I hope you don't mind. I mentioned another author, Renee Lennon. I want to give congratulations to her because I interviewed her 2 years ago because she won this award for Best Unpublished. And
Wow.
kudos to her because I saw her name again. She's now nominated for Best First Novel for the same work that she published. So
Fantastic.
I'm very much hoping, Craig, that in 2 years max, you and I will be chatting again.
Oh, wow.
I think I read that Vancouver, which is now your second novel, is already written also, and you're working on your third. So,
well, I haven't started working on the third one. I think that's a little bit peremptory, but the one in Vancouver is only a first draft, so I will have to go back to that and work on it quite a bit.
oh, okay. So it's not ready, but it's like
No.
brain power required, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. So, as I say to everyone, I don't know who the winners are for these categories. I could wish you the best of luck and honestly say the best of luck because I've only read the first 2 chapters and I'm very much enjoying it. So I hope this gets published and I could read the whole thing.
Wow, that's great. I'm with you. I'm with you. I hope so too.
All right. Thanks a lot, Craig.
All right. Thank you.